And welcome to TellUsDetroit.com. My name is Edward Foxworth. I'm here with Judge Sabree of the 36th District Court. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Good. Did you enjoy the Mackinac Conference?
Yes, this is
Yeah.
my first time, so
Is it?
I'm taking in a lot.
What are some of the takeaways you can point to right now?
You can get a lot done if you want to up here, or you
Yeah.
can socialize a lot, so you can make it what you want it to be.
Okay.
So you make some connections, and I've already made some.
Good.
We have some meetings scheduled to talk about some things that are going on in the court.
Okay.
So it's been effective so far.
Excellent. And what community are you originally from?
Detroit.
I mean, what part of
So 6 Mile and Myers is where I grew up.
Could you imagine 10 years ago that a young lady from 6 Mile and Myers would be Judge 36th District Court?
Well, I had that dream,
Nice.
but I didn't know when it was going to happen,
Yeah.
or you have the don't always happen. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I thought of it, but I didn't. When I was appointed and I got to the bench, it was still shocked. I was super shocked. I
Yeah.
didn't think it was actually going to happen. So
Now,
yeah,
there are young women just like you who are growing up with dreams,
Right.
much like yours.
Yes.
What kept you going to get to the point now that you are Judge of 36th District Court?
I was always motivated by the naysayers. So for me, I had people who laughed at me, told me, "Oh, you can't be a judge," throughout college, throughout law school, throughout my career. So for some reason, that motivated me. I've always taken the negative, the dream killers, and I use that to keep going.
Yeah.
So I didn't let what people said I couldn't do stop me.
Yeah.
So I
And
had-
do you still see that today as being very important for young women?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah?
Because it's rough.
Yeah.
It's very rough, especially for young black girls in the city of Detroit.
What do you mean by that?
Meaning that most people don't expect us to do much coming out of the city. You visit anywhere outside of Detroit. Oh, you're from Detroit. Oh, wow. Like, oh, we're so sorry for. Oh, that's good. You say you're a lawyer. Oh, that's wonderful for you. And making sure that I let girls know to set the standard, and that's your standard. Don't go off of what other people's standards are, and that it's good enough to just graduate from high school. But you want your dream to be a judge, then we're going to talk about how you're going to get there. You want to be an engineer, we're going to figure it out. Don't let other people set your standard.
Yeah. Were you faced with a lot of that as you went through? I mean, I know you mentioned that, you had those challenges, but was it really rough for you?
I mean, Detroit alone, it's rough. And then going to college, I was on a basketball scholarship. So I called it a job. At 18 years old, I had to perform at a very young age.
Okay.
And my coaching staff was more focused on me performing versus my grades. And when I got to, I'm going to tell this story later on, but when I first got there, my academic advisor said, "Okay, let's put you in some classes." And I said, "I want a biology and chemistry degree. I want to go into patent law." She said, "Oh, okay. Let's start off with the history of American rock and roll, and we'll start there." And I said, "No, I don't want to take that class." So it was a lot of that, like, "Oh yeah, sure. You want to be a judge, or you want to do this," and a lawyer, and people didn't take it seriously.
Oh.
So
But
I ignored it, and I used that to just keep it moving.
Yeah.
Almost kind of prove a point a little bit, but it worked.
Yeah.
So
And what do you attribute that to? Is that upbringing? Is that just, personality? What do you
I
attribute that to?
I think it's partially personality, but the environment. I come from a family of strong women, and my dad's strong. The men are strong too. But my great grandmother, Daisy Elliott, she wrote the Elliott-Larsen Act. So I watched her. She wasn't your typical great grandmother. Like you never saw her cooking and cleaning. She always had on a suit. She was trying to lobby something, get stuff done. She was very adamant about what she wanted to do. And my mom was the same way. So it was kind of like, no, it was not, oh, we're going to figure out how to get around it. This is what our goal is. This is what we're going to do.
And she had a voice and she wanted to use it. She made sure she used it.
And it was always for the good, for public service. We're all public servants.
Yeah.
So it was always to help people. So you got to make it through the barriers.
Talk about that part of wanting to help someone, because as a judge, oftentimes you're like, here's the law, this is what you did.
You have to be creative.
Okay.
So I'm at 36th District Court where I deal with misdemeanors. So I have a little more flexibility. We're not talking about murderers and people who are committing carjackings or things of that nature. We're talking about people who may have thrown litter out the trash, or don't have insurance, or in the park after the sunset. So these people aren't a threat to society. So instead of incarcerating these defendants, they are defendants, I try to find ways to help them. So I ask them, what's going on? What do you need? Sometimes you have to ask before you can even know. Some people want their GED. Okay, we'll put you in a GED program. Some people have substance abuse issues. We'll put you through drug court. So trying to figure out how to place people and help them get their life back together, just get their license, which is simple to some people, but it is rough for some to just get their license.
Speaking of license, and one of the biggest issues that have been going on for a long period of time is car insurance.
Yes.
In the city of Detroit specifically, but Michigan has a big problem with this. What's the challenge? I mean, the impact, the end result of people not having insurance that affects their lives.
People probably don't think about it, but I see it every day. There are people constantly being incarcerated for not having car insurance because it's considered a misdemeanor. It can be written up as a civil infraction, but officers have the option to write as misdemeanors, and many do in the city of Detroit. And what that does is, so one, you don't have insurance because you can't afford it. Okay, so now you're getting a ticket or a case, a misdemeanor charge against you. So now you come into court, you can't pay the fines and costs for the original charge or the car insurance. People are being incarcerated because of that. You get incarcerated, then you lose your job. You lose your job, then you can't pay your rent. You can't pay your rent, you lose your house. You lose your family. Everything just breaks down. And then it goes to substance abuse. Then it's a revolving door, and they come back in, and it's just a cycle that's very hard to stop.
Judges aren't supposed to talk like this. They aren't supposed to, they know it, but they aren't supposed to, I guess, share with as many people that they understand the cycle that a lot of people find themselves in. And you do.
Right. So I was a litigator before I was a judge. And I understand that judges we are impartial, but we aren't supposed to be insensitive. We can engage with our community. Like, after all, they have to vote for us too. And we are supposed to be representing our community. So we have to make sure we know what's going on and we engage with the people that we're supposed to be living with and around in the community. So I think I would have appreciated a judge as a teenager with a simple speeding ticket who asked me what's going on with my life just to see if it was something I needed. So.
What visions do you have now? That dream of becoming a judge has been fulfilled?
It was a 20-year dream.
So
yeah, I'm here, but I know I'm the type I can't sit still. But right now, what my vision is helping young women in the city of Detroit. That's my biggest thing right now. It's the first job I've had where I can actually go home 4:30 and do something else other than more work. So I spend that time in lunchtime speaking to young women across the city. So that's what I'm focused on for the next couple of years.
Good. Yeah. Speaking of young women, are you on any boards, looking to volunteer for any other groups besides the speaking?
Sure, yes. So I do individually. Any young lady and I tell them social media wise, when I go speak, you can Instagram me, and I'm very responsive. I would do one-on-one mentoring, but Pretty Brown Girls is my favorite organization.
Yes,
so,
Miss Crawley.
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Crawley.
Yes, that's my favorite group, and anytime she calls, I show up.
Yeah.
So that's the main organization that I work with.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. I applaud you for all that you're doing,
Thank
staying
you.
grounded,
Yes.
making sure that you understand how to connect, and as you have been, what's happening on the high side with those who may, really need a little extra push or someone to care or be sympathetic.
Right.
It certainly means a lot to our community. We keep people out of the system as much as we possibly can.
Exactly.
All right.
That's the goal.
Well, I appreciate all of your work and
Thank you.
wish you the best success.
Thank you.
All right.